Hey guys, welcome to the Soul on Fire show. Today we are going to go deep, deep, deep into business and spirituality. Thank you so much for being here on the live. Thank you for being on the replay. I am so excited today, guys, because we are going deep into what abundance really truly is and how to live your life from an abundant place. Mind, body, soul, and spirit, connecting business and spirituality, connecting science and spirituality to business and spirituality. So I'm super excited. Today, we are here with our beautiful guest, Sara Rose, and she is a business strategist, and she is going to go deep into understanding the mindset of business, but not just business in general, but also living your purpose and understanding who you are as a person. And so your spiritual journey is not an easy journey to navigate. What we're going to talk about today is we're going to talk about navigating your spiritual journey, understanding the entrepreneur journey and how it truly connects to you, your purpose, and spirituality. So guys, I am super excited to welcome Sara Rose into the live stream. Thank you again for being here on the live. Thank you for being here on the replay. Hi, Sara. How are you?
Hi, Noelle. Thank you for having me. I'm super excited to be here.
Oh, thanks for being here. It's super exciting to have you. So tell us a little bit about what you do, because it's so interesting what you do. When you and I first talked, it was this combination of your soul's purpose and understanding abundance, but understanding truly about connecting spirituality and business together.
Yeah, so I'm a soulful business strategist, and really, it's a whole new paradigm of a way of doing business, right? Conscious business, soul aligned business, coming from, higher intention, aligning most importantly with the divine will. So I specialize in helping a lot of spiritual entrepreneurs, obviously, light workers, teachers, and healers that are here to uplift humanity. And really, on the spiritual path, if at a certain point on that journey, you awaken to divine service, you have this inner calling, and stepping onto that path can sometimes be scary. There's a lot of imposter syndrome. There's a lot of, all your fears come up, right? But ultimately you're being called for something more. And it's about aligning that why, that larger why of why you're here, what you're here to do, what you're feeling called to do, and linking that to a business that is sustainable and profitable and can allow you to have a platform to do your mission work. And so that's my passion right now, is really, I'm feeling called to gap between spirituality and business.
I love that. I love that so much. And so you mentioned a big word, and it's a big word for me that I actually made a post on this week. And so let's talk about imposter syndrome and what that looks like in business, and what that looks like when you are truly, because I believe that for me, at least, the entrepreneur journey was one of the hardest journeys of my life, right? And I have a pretty crazy childhood story, and I know you do as well. And I think even harder than overcoming that was truly navigating my spirituality through the entrepreneur journey. So let's talk a little bit about imposter syndrome and understanding how your business is truly a component of you, and it teaches you, just like it's a mirror, like a relationship, whereas a partner and your children, a business. It really truly is a relationship to you, right?
Oh yeah, you just touched on it perfectly. And I tell my clients this all the time, that your business is a reflection of your own inner consciousness. Your business, and so is everything else. So this, everything is a reflection. Our inner consciousness creates our outer reality, and your business, the clients, your sales and marketing, all of the pieces and components of your business are a reflection back to you. I was just listening in on someone talk the other day on a Clubhouse meeting where someone was talking about how, So, I was stood up at the last minute. There was someone that didn't show and this and that, and someone wasn't keeping the time commitments that he had for his podcast. But yet right before that, he said how he wasn't honoring his own time commitments. And it was easier for him to honor other people's time commitments than his own. And he said this over the course of like a 2-minute conversation, but right there, the universe is reflecting back his own inability to hold his own time commitments as sacred. And so therefore up pops someone to reflect that back to him. And so business is a reflection, your sales process, your clients that show up for you or don't show up. All of this is, if it's a pattern, right, that there's something there to look at. So ultimately it's, it's a reflection of your consciousness.
I love that so much. So let's talk about imposter syndrome. I know that you mentioned that in the first segment. So what is imposter syndrome for people that don't know what that is and don't understand psychology and spirituality like us? And so for the viewers, maybe go deeper into that and what that looks like in your business and how that shows up in your everyday life.
Yeah, it's not even just for business owners or entrepreneurs. Imposter syndrome is a real thing where, you feel like a fraud, you feel not good enough, or who am I? You start to ask those questions. You start to have a lot of self-doubt come up. And then you'll start to spin into sabotage that may look like perfectionism or procrastination or shiny object syndrome, doing all of the things in your business that don't move the needle for you, but keep you really busy, because there's this underlying fear of being seen, an underlying fear of being heard, because there's still this external need to be validated outside of yourself, right? So you're looking for some kind of safety, security, validation, or approval in outside of yourself. And so standing up in your truth and speaking your truth and sharing your message with the world and stepping into what your soul is calling you to do puts you in a place where you can be ridiculed and judged and criticized. And a lot of people might think you're crazy for quitting your day job, like as an example, quitting your day job to go start this soul business or this or that. So there's so many different scenarios. It's different for everybody, but it's a natural thing. But I like to spin it and say, if imposter syndrome is coming up for you, that's a good thing, because it means that you're getting out of your comfort zone and you're pressing your upper limit. Because if you weren't pressing your upper limit and busting through your own limitations, imposter syndrome wouldn't even be a thing. You'd be more complacent, right? You'd be more complacent. You'd be more stuck. Maybe you'd be more, a lot of other things, but you wouldn't be really afraid that someone's going to criticize or judge you, or that you're going to be found out as being quote unquote, not good enough. Right?
Agreed.
It's actually a really good sign that you're getting out of your comfort zone.
Well, I love that so much. And we will go deeper into your comfort zone and how we have to break through that on every part of your journey, right? And so every part of your journey as an entrepreneur, I believe, is truly a test. And I don't believe the universe tests you. I believe that you actually are just emanating out what's going on internally, right? And so every time you have growth in your life in any way, whether it's growth in a relationship or growth in business, I truly believe that there is always a pain point to get you through that. Let's talk about the pain points and the spiritual awakenings and the things that happen along your entrepreneur journey to make you realize that this was your purpose and leading you into a spiritual journey of business and spirituality.
So it's interesting because it wasn't something I was consciously aware of when I first started to align with my purpose. It's, something that you sort of stumble upon, but there's always, for everybody that I work with as well, there's this common theme that, you're meant to be doing something, but you don't necessarily know what. So my background was in real estate and sales, and I've been an entrepreneur my whole life, but there was always a deeper inner calling. I've known it since I was little, right? It's been this thing since I was little that I knew that there was this deeper calling that I came here to participate in this 3D reality, right? And so I don't want to get too far off track with your question. What you wanted to speak directly? Can you repeat the question again?
Sure. Well, mostly just the journey of understanding your purpose, right? And truly when the pain points that you have going through your purpose and to get to your purpose. And I always say through your pain is your purpose, right? And right. So for me, I knew when I had to deal with death, I found life, right? And through sickness, I found wellness. And so that was what I knew my purpose was in my business. And when I wasn't doing that, life was showing me over and over again. And so maybe talk about to our viewers, like what going through the pain points and on the journey of spirituality is to get to your purpose.
Right. So It's changed over time, because when I was first on my journey, I really believed that there is purpose in pain. Fortunately and unfortunately, people learn through struggle and people learn through pain. However, I do feel we're at a level of consciousness now, and we're shifting into these new earth energies where you can choose to ascend consciously on your journey. You don't have to learn through struggle and pain anymore. There's other options available if you come into conscious awareness. That wasn't available to me at the very onset of my spiritual awakening. What happens on the spiritual awakening when you first start out, the pains, is that everything that is not authentic to you starts to bubble up, right? So first, maybe you start to separate from friends. Then maybe you don't, really align with family, or then maybe you don't like to frequent the same places that you do. Maybe you have to change your diet. Maybe you change all of these other things because you're slowly coming into more alignment. And then as you progress down the journey, at least in my experience, now the belief systems and the personality identity itself comes into question, right? The fact that we're even a personality or an identity to begin with, right? And really stepping into this awareness consciousness that is a layer behind the seeker, a layer behind the one who is seeking these things, and tapping into that in glimpses, right? And so as far as it relates to entrepreneurship, I mean, God, basically when you step in, and I don't think there can be a more powerful combo than the spiritual awakening journey mixed with entrepreneurship, right? I mean,
agreed.
you marry those, if you marry those two things together, guess what? There is no place fear is going to be able to hide in you. It will bubble up, it will come up, and it will reflect in your reality in everywhere, right? Because you're going through this metamorphosis, right? You're coming into more conscious awareness of who you truly are. And what does that mean? Like you mentioned before, there's this duality, right? Like you're going to recognize all the things that you are not sometimes before you recognize what you are.
I love that so much. And I think that both you and I do shadow work, right? We go deep into the shadows. Mine is more to find their soul's purpose, and yours is more for the business aspect of it, right? And so let's talk about the shadow work. And you showed a level of consciousness that truly is, the next level is when you understand that you can go into the shadows, and it is not this darkness that the scary boogeyman under the table, right? It is truly just the darkness is going to show you. And when I say through your pain is your purpose, it is the light that is the beacon through the dark, right? So let's talk about the shadow work and going deep into that, and understanding that the level of consciousness, when you understand that nothing is good or bad, nothing is dark or light, it is just truly how you're seeing and how you're perceiving, and the paradigms of the society that need to be broken, because really, truly, society, the new energies of the earth are completely different than what they were. We're now in the age of Aquarius. For the last 2,000 years, we were in the age of Pisces. And that is really, the age of Pisces was where we needed other people. We needed outside resources. And so the age of Aquarius is more individuality, right? So let's speak about that and the science and the spirituality behind that, about merging with the energy of the new energies, and how to do that, how to tap into the darkness. And because there is still dark energy in the earth, right? And we're kind of navigating this dark and light at the same time.
Well, I believe that we're navigating the dark and light at the same time, as long as we identify with a personality. We have a personality, we have a body, and we have a mind. But the new earth energies is really recognizing, I mean, if we are a spiritual being and we have a body and we have a mind, that means the more you identify with duality exists on the level of the mind, right? And so this is ancient Zen spiritualism. This is like what ancients have been teaching for thousands of years, right? The mind is going to be stuck in duality. And the more we associate with the personality identity itself, the more we're going to be trapped in this duality. The new earth energies is about really oneness consciousness is what's being brought to me, and not individualization, but the lack of separation, right? We're moving from separation consciousness into unity consciousness, oneness consciousness, Christ consciousness, whatever you want to refer to it as, where we start to recognize that we are the other. There is no other. It's we are each other, right? There is no, on the core level of our essence, there is no separation. And so as long as we're identified with the mind or the body or the personality, and this is why even going down the rabbit hole of personal development and healing and all of these things for me, is definitely valuable. But at the same time, if there's not a recognition also of who you truly are at the essence level, you can go down those rabbit holes trapped in the personality identity, or trapped in a belief system, or trapped in your conditioning, or trapped even in a healing rabbit hole for the rest of your life, that thinking that, that you're this broken or wounded, or at your core essence not whole and complete, when at your core essence you are whole and complete. Well, if we truly believe that we're whole and complete, and you truly live in the fact that you're whole and complete, then what is there to fix? And if we attach to personal identity and personal development, right? Because if we attach to personal development, that's great. You can shiny up your personhood, and you can be really successful, and you can work on mindset, and you can do all the things, and you can, at the end of the day, if your identity is still wrapped up with your personality, with your personhood, then at the end of the day, you, in this life, at least in this incarnation, you're going to have a certain experience that's wrapped up in personhood. My question, if you're on the ascension journey, and is that what you're really here to integrate in this lifetime?
Well, I believe that we're both the teacher and the student at the same time, right? And so if you're so far in your ego that you're not, if you're the guru, right, and you think that you don't have any growth to do, then you're still in a human body, and you're not at Christ consciousness, because you are still in a human body, right? And so we are always the teacher and the student at the same time. We come through life to master our pain and our purpose. We move through that to ascension, and then we teach from a place of non-egoic place, right? And that is actually the individualism of the age of Aquarius that I was saying, is that the age of Aquarius is unity at one, it is the collective, but it is having your gifts as the collective, not looking for an outside source, right? And so let's talk about that, because it's truly where we're pivoting in the new energies, right? We're moving from living as external to living as internal. Let's look at the journey of living internal, right? Because nothing in your reality that is emanating out without you is not anything that you haven't created, right? So it is your past belief system, is your past identity. So let's talk about overcoming that identity and what it takes to get to that journey, because it's easy to say that you have to change your personality, but if you don't, let's give tools and takeaways to our viewers, so that way they understand that when you change your identity, it's not this easy process that you wake up one day and all of a sudden you're a different person. You truly have to go through whatever it is that is inside of you to understand that you're moving through it to get to a better version of you, right?
Well, I feel like we're talking maybe about two separate things, because the personal identity, I don't feel, is something that you have to work on in order to ascend. Mm-hmm. Personal identity, it's actually the not associating with, you can ascend it all. You can work on your personality or personal development, until the cows come home, your entire lifetime, right? But it's the actual recognizing that you are not that to begin with is what's gonna. So if we're talking about tools, it's about recognizing that you have this personal identity, you have a set of belief systems, which are just set of belief systems and conditioning. You have an ego and you have a mind, but you're none of those things. And the more we get in this duality, well, now this is good or this is bad, and now I want to do this and then I want to do that. We're going back and forth and bouncing back and forth between duality and oneness consciousness. There is no opposite of oneness. There is no duality. It's not opposite of anything, right? It's just beingness. So the shortcut to all of this would be to move into beingness, because we are Christ consciousness. We are Christ consciousness at our core. It's not something that we have to seek outside of us. It's already looking through our eyes right now, watching this video as we speak. There's no it is what's seeing and tasting and touching and feeling. And we are this expression of source, having this physical touch it, taste it, feel it, tangible experience. But it's like an avatar. It's like we're wearing a spacesuit and we're playing this avatar. And when we pass away, this avatar is going to, and so is everything else. But the one part that's still going to stay is the awareness behind it all, that's been looking through these eyes the entire time.
Yeah, the imprints on your soul for sure. That your soul is imprinted, and whether you believe in past lives or not, it's the journey that your soul goes on. And truly, 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 a beautiful gift of consciousness to be in a human body for sure. We are God's source body, God's source, the universe in a physical body, and we're living this experience through us. And it's on this channel we merge science and spirituality, so this is not new to anybody on this channel. And it's different dimensions of time and space you actually can tap into, which we're going to talk about in the next segment. We're going to take a quick break, and we're going to go into the different dimensions of time and space, and tapping into the quantum world and understanding the different realities that you can tap into, and the different versions of you that actually exist all at once. Our show today is sponsored by my company, Noelle Agape Global. And at Noelle Agape Global, we are here to get you to the greatest version of yourself. We are here to set your soul on fire and ignite the passion within. Guys, we will be right back. Hi guys, welcome back. Thank you so much for being on the live. Thank you for being on the replay. Today we are merging science and spirituality to understand tapping into your beautiful source of business, your source of abundance, and the source of all that you are. We're with Sara Rose, and she is a soulful business strategist, and she is talking about how to connect to the mind and to the body and the soul, to your purpose in life. Sara, let's talk now about going into the different versions of yourself. We talked about identity, we talked about personality, we talked about moving into the Christ consciousness and the oneness. Let's talk about the different dimensions of time and space, and that it truly is that, you have to connect to that energy, to merge with the energy, to receive what you're receiving in your 3D reality.
You mean as far as stepping into the future self you want to manifest now? Is that what you're referring to? It's like jumping
Sure.
through? Yeah. So my experience is really, this might be more of your expertise with, jumping. The way I experience timelines is the reality that I experience, let's say with the COVID hitting, right? Like the reality, the timeline, so to speak. And I know that, in quantum, that there's supposedly a separate, every time we make a decision, a separate you splits off and lives that decision and that decision and stuff like that. And I don't know enough to speak on that. But what I see happening right now on the world stage is that humanity's at a choice point. And a lot of people have heard a wake-up call, especially even with COVID hitting. This has been something that, depending on how you handle it, depending on the frequency and the level of consciousness that you're operating at, whether it's more fear-based or whether it's more, you've already released a lot of the lower frequencies from your field, so to speak, right? As far as maybe you've been, released resentment and anger and fear, moving into more states of forgiveness, love, oneness. You're going to experience your reality quite differently. And what's been coming through to me is that as the ascension continues and consciousness raises and frequency, we move more into this 5D shift. What we're going to see is more of a separation. It's harder to jump between, these different, 3D, 5D, moving through the 4D, which is all about imagination and working with, outside of the 3D physical world and recognizing that there's more than just the physical, right? So it's sort of like a bridge, but like as humanity continues to shift, it's going to be a lot more difficult to exist in a higher frequency world, or there's like, you can see a split happening, and you can see that people are experiencing their realities, same conditions, same circumstances, global level, same thing, right? But people experiencing their environment and their circumstances completely different. And I believe that you're going to see more and more of that based on the level of consciousness that you're operating on.
Agreed. And it's you can't, and if everything is frequency, you are energy, and you are attached to a frequency, and you can never get to a space if you can't get to it. Faith and fear are the same strand of vibration. But you cannot literally move up the frequency scale from fear to faith unless you change your vibration, right? And so let's talk about that, and let's talk about how important it is in the business world with the split in consciousness, right? And being a conscious entrepreneur in today's society. That's a really big thing. So many people preach consciousness and they actually don't know the depth of consciousness, right? So there's a lot of fake gurus out there. There's a lot of people out there that don't really know what they're talking about, but there are all these influencers that are out there that are the guru marketers that are shoving things down. But let's talk about conscious business and what that truly looks like.
For me, conscious business means operating from awareness, right? So what is conscious? Conscious means you're not unconscious, right? It means you're not operating from your default patterns or your conditioning, even though you still have those, like you're starting to break free of those and you're operating more from higher intention. For me, it's all about divine will, stepping in and aligning your own personal will with divine will. Especially if you're if you're feeling called to do that. Everybody has a different role to play. Everybody has a different path and a different soul journey that they're on. But for me, conscious business is operating from the highest level of intention. And what does that mean? It means operating from a place of service first, impact first, right? Not allowing your ego to run the train, right? Recognizing when your ego is running the train, you have enough awareness. It's no longer ego if you're aware of it. It's just a construct of your mental body. It's just a construct of your thoughts. When you are aware of it, you can realize it and you can make more conscious, right, decisions in your business, which would make it a conscious business, right? So you're not leading with ego. You're leading with love. You're leading with unity. You're leading with, we're moving from competition to collaboration, right? There's no longer, when you talk about abundance, there's no longer, oh, I need to carve out the pie over here, or somebody else is going to get kind of mentality. It's like, no, it's now the more is the merrier. There's enough to go around for everybody, and I can help uplift another spiritual entrepreneur, and it doesn't have anything to do or affect my business because there is no competition. It's all about collaborating and unity and rising together, right? Instead of seeing everything as separate from us, which would bring in competition. And we're seeing it happen on all different levels of our societal, on all different levels, not just business.
I agree with that so much. And, there's an infinite field of possibilities that we can actually tap into. And when we understand that, you are not coming from that scarcity mindset, we're coming from the abundance mindset of that there is an infinite field of possibilities. It's never about competition. It's about how can you grow? How can you, the ripple effect of if what we're doing today is going to get out into society and that, maybe help one person, that one person can help somebody. And that's how we change humanity. And we never change humanity by going externally, right? We change with humanity by going within and tapping into our greatest power and finding out who we are and truly tapping into our higher consciousness. And every time we do that, we emanate out to the world a greater vibration, right? So let's maybe give our viewers some say just business 101 of how to merge science and spirituality into your business and what that looks like. Like if you were working with a client that just their business was their finances were a mess, or their relationships were a mess in their business, and their relationship with their business was a mess, where would you start with that?
Well, I don't really specialize in if it's I don't know what you mean by mess per se, I guess. The spiritual entrepreneurs that I work with, they are looking to align with their purpose. And that's primarily, they're looking to build something from a soul aligned way. The old masculine paradigm of doing things, the hustle, the grind, the competition, the overworking, the doing for the sake of doing, they're moving into a more balanced, way of doing business. And they want to do something that feeds their soul, and they want to come into alignment with their purpose. And it's really about identifying first and foremost where the ego is running the show, identify where they're even attaching to some of these belief systems, if that's a thing for them, right? But ultimately it's about opening up as the divine channel first and foremost, allowing yourself to receive what wants to be coming through you. Otherwise, and when you lead from that place and you allow everything that you do you're going to experience circumstances that are there for growth, but everything you do will eventually align you, bring you into alignment. It's all your purpose, right? It's all part of it. Even the stuff you don't like is part of it. But when you answer the call and fully allow that to come through you, and then take action on that, take intuitive guided action on what's coming through and build from that place. So I help them extract, my takeaway would be to really extract what it is you're really feeling lit up to do. I could help 1 million people build a business online. At the end of the day, you can make millions of dollars selling whatever online, or I primarily work online because of the amount of reach you can have, right? At the moment, especially with what happened last year. But you can build, there's plenty of ways to make money. It's about building something that is truly in alignment. So it's soul aligned success. And my definition of soul aligned success, which is part of my soul aligned success business method, is making sure that not only are you in alignment with your mission, your message, your calling, and who you're here to serve, but you're also in alignment with your lifestyle goals, because we are here having this 3D experience. And if you don't take into account your own, if you're self-serving to the point of depleting yourself, right? You're not honoring yourself and your own time and what you want to be doing with your life, right? Then there's a disconnect there, and you won't be able to fully get your energy behind it. You won't really be able to fully back it if it's depleting you. So I'm all about helping entrepreneurs build a freedom-based lifestyle as well. So soul aligned business also, and it has a huge element of being free.
I love that. I love it. Freedom's such a big word for me. I'm an adventure junkie and I travel all over the world. And if I'm not free, then that was part of what I felt was the constriction of the 9 to 5. And I worked in the schools, and it was just so much for me. And the second that I got freedom, but it wasn't just freedom with my finances, it was freedom with my soul, right? That was when I was in alignment with my soul. Let's talk about the divine feminine and the divine masculine. You touched on that just a little bit, and it's super important for our viewers to understand, is that the divine feminine energies are the receiving energies, right? They're the creative. You create the ideas that come through you. Our gifts are not our own. They come through us, right? We're source energy that we output. And when we understand that, but from there, we have to take action, right? And so let's talk a little bit about the wounded masculine and the divine masculine. We do have to take action, because you can't just sit and meditate and expect your business to do fantastic, right? So you have to take aligned action with that, which is the divine masculine. The wounded masculine is the hustle, the grind, the being so exhausted that you can't even breathe. And the wounded feminine is truly just leaning back so much that you're not doing anything either. And so let's talk a little bit about that, because that's really on the spiritual journey, on the entrepreneur spiritual journey. That's a big thing for people, is when to lean in, when to be creative, when to lean back, and to receive. And let's talk about that a little bit.
Yeah. So as long as we're playing this dance in duality, we're going to have these polar opposites. This is divine feminine, divine masculine archetypes that we play with, right? And for me, this is like the basis for my multidimensional marketing, is what I call it, right? It's really opening up to receive. The distorted masculine wants to take action, though, before I get ahead of myself, opening up to receive and then taking action on what you're receiving. A lot of times, this is where a lot of spiritual entrepreneurs will drop the ball due to imposter syndrome, procrastination, perfectionism, and all the sabotaging tendencies, right? So what I call it is sacred action. Sacred action, my definition of sacred action, is something that is intuitively guided, and it's intuitively guided, but it invokes a level of fear. Because it's getting you out of your comfort zone. It's taking you to a new level, right? It's going to invoke fear. The moment you take that sacred action, you immediately up-level your energetic field. Just by most people, when they say they take the sacred action, for example, hiring me as a coach was a sacred action for a lot of them. And I used to be on that end of the stick too, where it would be scary, right? The moment you take it though, what do you replace? You're replaced with this sense of freedom and like faith, and you're on fire, and you're just like, wow, it's like it's a total up leveling, just taking any sacred action, whether it's in a relationship or whatever, right? So what I see happen a lot is the distorted masculine energy will start to take over action in order to fill a need. And so the distorted feminine is the neediness. And, it's like if you're on a date and you're like really needy, right? That distorted feminine energy versus the empress energy that's fully in her power, right? Well, the distorted feminine energy is going to push the divine masculine energy away. The distorted feminine is divine masculine is not interested in a distorted needy feminine, right? And so what happens is when the needy feminine energy comes out, and you may see this in sales, you may see this when it comes to signing clients, you may see this in your marketing when you're trying to figure out what to post. Like there's different ways that this will express in your business. Then the distorted masculine energy will come in and be, well, maybe I need to do this because if I don't, X will happen.
I love that too much.
Yeah, distorted masculine will start taking action because it's fear-based action to fill a void.
So beautiful. Like you said, it's like pure gold right there. Everybody that is listening, all the viewers, like rewind that because that was pure gold, literally. So the biggest takeaway from that is the distorted feminine is going to attract the distorted masculine energies in your business, in relationship, in life in general, right? The divine masculine is going to attract the divine feminine, right? So being in your power. We're going to take a quick break again, and then we're going to come back and talk about being in your power and standing in your power. And we all have, guys, it's not a man-woman thing. We all have divine feminine and divine masculine energies within us that have to be aligned. We're going to talk to Sara about being in your power in business, in life, and how to truly be in your power in purpose. We will be right back, guys, just a minute. Hi guys, welcome back. Thank you so much for being on the Soul on Fire show. My name is Noelle Agape and I'm a leading expert in health, wellness, and consciousness. And today we're going deep, deep, deep into the quantum of business and understanding your purpose and truly tapping into the energy of the divine feminine and the divine masculine. We talked about in the first segment, we talked about breaking your identity and moving through into oneness and understanding your Christ consciousness and moving to your power. And then we talked about the divine feminine and the divine masculine and the wounded feminine and the wounded masculine. We are here with beautiful Sara Rose, who is changing lives by merging science and spirituality through business. And Sara, let's talk about being in your power and what that looks like in your business, in your life, in relationships, and how that shows up if you're not in your power.
For me, standing in my power would be pure alignment, right? So alignment trumps everything. Alignment trumps the logarithm. Alignment trumps your ads you're running. Alignment trumps, the people you hire to help you run your business. If you're not in alignment, then pieces of your business are going to, fall out of sync. And I've seen this happen so much with even, if my message, if who I'm here to serve falls out of alignment and energetically I'm not connected with who I'm truly here to serve, it doesn't matter how many ads I run. It doesn't matter how much content I put out. It's about alignment. So for me, yes, standing in my power is about alignment first and foremost, and then recognizing that I do have these divine masculine and feminine energies that play, and recognizing that it is when it's time to take action and when it's time to rest and nurture myself and go on vacation and travel and have fun and making that part of the process. I build that into my business so I can have that time and have that freedom and flexibility. And part of that is, really nurturing that divine feminine energy, because you can get stuck in this cycle. You could be in the vicious, distorted cycle, or you could be in the divine cycle. And this is what it really feels like to be in flow. So for me, being in power means being in flow because I'm dancing with the energies. I know when it's time to receive. I know when it's time to take action. I'm not overacting from a fearful place, and I'm not, forcing something that hasn't been divinely guided.
I love that so much. And so when you build something, whether it is, you're building a business or a relationship, whatever it may be, and wherever your vibration is what you're going to emanate out into the world, right? And so if you're building a product based on, I need to make millions from this, not I'm going to make millions so I can change millions of lives, but I'm just going to make millions because I'm coming from a place of lack, that's what's going to come into your business, right? So let's talk about where the fine line between understanding the structure of a business, because if you don't have the structure of your business, right, and that has to be built, you have to. I mean, I think the hardest journey for me on the entrepreneur journey was I'm a creative, right? I love the beauty, I love the travel, I love the downloads, I love making content. And then when it came to the structure of business, all right, I studied psychology and quantum physics. I didn't study anything with the structure of the business. So let's talk about business and spirituality and how having the structure builds from there, the freedom, because you cannot have freedom in your business without having structure and procedure, right?
Yes. So I always talk about your business needs 3D structure in order for you to be sustainable and thrive from it, right? So it needs some pieces in place, but especially if you're an online entrepreneur, it doesn't have to be a lot of pieces. A lot of people think it's a lot more than it actually has to be. First, you have to be in alignment. You have to know who you're here to serve, and your messaging and all that has to be in alignment. And then structure, the biggest thing for me is making sure I stay, like what you were talking about, in my zone of genius and what really lights me up, and not, you don't want to be a one-woman show forever. You want to be able to outsource. A lot of spiritual entrepreneurs, they start as a one-woman show or one-man show, but it's really important to just put on your CEO hat as quickly as possible, scale, systematize, and outsource as quickly as possible so you can have freedom. Because if you're tying your time to your money, you're not going to have that freedom and flexibility.
Beautiful. So what are some key tips that they could, people could take away for systemizing? So scaling, systemizing, and what was the last one?
Outsourcing.
Outsourcing. I love those. Yeah. Those three are gold for building a business. So if you don't have one of them, let's go through each of those so our viewers understand what they need to do for each.
So for example, scaling, we can start there. Scaling would be setting up maybe, so obviously this is why I love this for impact driven entrepreneurs, because you want your impact to go up and you want your freedom to go up exponentially. You don't want every time you sign a new client, your freedom to go down. So if that's the case, then ditching the one-to-one model for a one-to-many model. And that would be looking like a group scalable program or a mastermind program or something like that, instead of working one-to-one. So that would be an example.
Good.
Systematizing would be as soon as you're doing something once in your business, because a lot of times you want to figure it out how to, unless you're hiring an outsourced you're hiring a consultant right out the gate. As soon as you do something once, it will be a repetitive task. Write out, use a Trello board or use some of the resources out there where you can map out the steps in which to take. So it's now it's a system, right? Systematize, anybody else can step in and take it over. And then you want to outsource that to either an employee or maybe like an independent contractor or virtual assistant. So that way it's off your plate, and stick in your zone of genius with what you're really feeling called to create. And for me and for you and for everybody that I help, it's receiving and being the creative control, but you're not necessarily going to be the best admin person, right? Or video post editor, or repurposing your social media content, things like that.
And I think that is the perfect example of the divine masculine and the divine feminine, right? Is the structure and the procedure is the divine masculine, right? So many people don't understand that you have to take action. You have to have structure. That is the divine masculine. And then the creative flow of being in your zone of genius. And I love that you said that. There's such a difference between, like, I'm really, really good at a lot of things, but my excellence is in the quantum field, right? And so when you're in your excellence and when you're in your power, that's when you're shining bright, right? But if I didn't have the structure and the procedures and the optimization, like you were saying, I wouldn't be able to be in my excellence, because I'd have to be doing it myself. I love that so much.
That's a really good point, because we can be masterful at a lot of things, but what is our real truly gift? What is our true gift and what really lights us up, right? So I can be masterful at a lot of things, but I don't necessarily need to be doing those things, right? So I was really good at real estate, and really good at sales, but I can outsource sales. So I don't have to be on every sales call, right? And I can have a really talented salesperson intake my sales calls in order to enroll in the program. So then I can show up in my light and hold sacred space for the people I'm here to serve, right? And so even though I'm masterful at sales and I have a high closing ratio, that doesn't necessarily mean I want to be doing that. I can outsource that.
I love that so much. That right there, guys. Like I said, if you're not watching this video, watch it all on replay, because there's so many gold nuggets, especially if you're an entrepreneur. So let's talk about the journey of freedom, right? And how that looks in your business, because I say all the time, you start out as, the solopreneur that comes out and, they're super excited and they tell everyone they know. And then they go into the freedompreneur, and it's the one that can travel and has a laptop and has a lifestyle, but they're doing everything themselves. Then they're moving into the entrepreneur, and this is where it gets real, right? When you have a business, and this is where, like, your business is dialed in, and then from there you can make global impact. You can't make global impact until you go through that journey, right?
Yeah, it's really, and a lot of it is just owning your own gift and getting out of the
Mm.
imposter syndrome and taking the leaps of faith that you're being called to make, investing in yourself from the beginning instead of trying to do it all yourself, right? Hiring other people so you don't have to make the same mistakes as somebody else, and fast tracking your results. And so every business requires investing. Every business requires, investing time, energy, or money, or all three, right? And so I see a lot of spiritual entrepreneurs, the thing that really slows them down, if I could go back and do one thing earlier or quick to fast track my results, it would have been to hire someone that's already doing what I want to do for right out the
Yeah.
gate, and not waste 2, 3, 4, 5 years spinning my wheels as a side hustle while I still sold real estate, right?
I love that. I love that so much. And so what does it look like when, I mean, you've already told us so many good nuggets and so you brought so much value today. So if somebody was working with you, what would that look like? What, like, you go in and you tear apart their business and you show them where they need growth, or you like, what does the steps look like of working with you?
Well, usually there's three different types of women that, because I primarily work with women, they're either already working as a coach or a healer, but they're really not consistent they're just sort of like using like the shotgun approach with their business, and they don't really have a system in place. And so it's just sort of still a side hustle. Other ones are already really busy as a one-on-one coach or teacher or healer, but they're so booked out that they're overwhelmed and they're depleted. And some of them are even making themselves sick over it, and they don't have any freedom. And so they know they need to restructure and go from a one-to-one to a one-to-many model.
Mm.
Other group of women are the corporate 9 to 5ers that already have one foot out the door and they're building their soul business with me, or they've recently jumped ship and severed their corporate career and they're building out their soul business.
Well, my mine was 10 years ago, but that was me for sure.
Yeah. So but to be honest, when we start, we always start at the same place. And this is getting really clear on your own branding stories, your journey, your mission, your calling, connecting to your why, and getting really crystal clear on what I call your soulmate client and who you really get lit up to serve. Everything then builds on that. Their messaging builds on that. Their program builds on that. Their marketing strategy builds on that. And they're all very impact driven. So they're already, they're coming to me because they know they want to be in a one-to-many model. They know they want to like speak on stage or write books or launch podcasts or things like that. So they want to have exponential reach and reach more people than they ever could if they were just a one-to-one working, time, trading time for money and not being able to have that ripple effect with people.
I love that so much, because on the entrepreneur journey, I think the biggest pain point for me was understanding outsourcing and understanding where I couldn't be in my excellence without that, right? And I had to hire a coach. I had to work with somebody like you that knew, the spiritual journey as well as the business journey. And let's talk about the importance of not having a coach. I'm 19 years in. I've been doing this forever, for 14 years of grad school. I'm still the student. I still have a coach. I still, you and I met in a program that was a coaching program as well, right? And so let's talk about the importance of being the teacher in some realms and then the student in the other.
We're always a teacher and we're always a student, right? Even my clients are reflections, right? So back to that spiritual law of reflection, our inner consciousness creates our outer consciousness. So for me, everything is a reflection. Everything is a learning experience. My clients are always reflecting back things for me that I can recognize within myself, that I can tweak here and there. Like if it's, one word that will be said, that obviously resonates with me. But Oprah admits that she says one of her biggest, reasons for her success is her life coach. Said that. So I mean, there's everybody. I feel. I mean, at least if maybe not everybody, but there's being in the energy of someone else that can always see your highest potential, even when you can't. That is when someone else can hold you in a sacred space and see your highest potential and see you for who you truly are and hold that space. And that's invaluable, especially if you're surrounded with people that don't necessarily get what you're doing, which is a lot of times the spiritual entrepreneur doesn't just run out and shout it from the rooftops. They run out and they sort of hide, or they're still in the spiritual closet, or they're only talk to people they don't know. They won't talk to their friends and family about it, or they don't want people from their old career or high school to find out. And so when you're starting to like recognize that, you want to be surrounded by other people that get it and that have a level of mindset that's even a level of abundant mindset, even higher than yours, because what that does is it makes what your experience, what they're bringing to the table normal for you.
Mm.
So if you're dancing around by yourself and you're not investing in yourself and you're trying to piece together your business and you're nickel and diming your time, how much faster would you be able to grow if you were surrounded in a group where everybody's making 40,000 a month?
Mm-hmm.
How much
Yeah.
more is that just going to be like, that's just the new normal. That's
Mm-hmm.
just the new normal. And when your mind thinks that that's the new normal.
I love that so much. And so let's talk about the people that you surround yourself with and the energy that you actually are allowing into your life and into your business. That's a huge component.
Yes, I think I've hired 3 mentors since COVID, just a year. I think I just crossed the year anniversary. I've hired 3 mentors for very specific different things, right?
Me too. Me too.
For the past year, and then most recently, I've have a PR person. But I'm always up leveling, and I love the group format. I love being able to be in the energy of other people that are doing more as far as pursuing their dreams and passionate and supportive, but actually, doing more, you know what I mean, than reaching their goals that are even beyond what mine were, because now mine seem like, when you up level like that, you get into that energy. So it's just something that if I could go back, it would be the first thing that I would do right away, right out the gate.
Well, I think it always comes down to choice, right? You have 2 choices in life. You can stay where you are or you can grow. And you cannot, and if, again, going back to your ego, if you think in any way that you can just grow on your own without support and being in the collective, find somebody that has done it already and then have that as your mentor. And then when you master it, you go back and teach, right? I think that's the key right there.
And I think that and that we're meant to rise together. We're not meant to be on an island all by ourselves doing this. We're our gift and and somebody else's gift. Like when you align with that and when you find somebody that you're in alignment with, like we're meant to rise together. We're meant to work together. We're meant to collaborate and co-create together. We're not meant to do it all on our own.
Oh my gosh. I just love you so much. You're incredible. Thank you so much for bringing your gifts to the world. So tell our viewers what are you working on right now, how they can find you and all of the amazing things. Guys, if you have not, first of all, go back and rewatch this entire thing. She gave you so many nuggets in this. And second of all, if you need a business coach and you want to tap into your spirituality, she is just a gift to this world. Thank you for bringing your gifts to the world and helping humanity. But Sara, how can people find you and what are you working on right now?
So right now I'm still wrapping up my book, which that should hopefully be out within about a year. Book process is an interesting process, but so that's my project that I'm working on. Sacred Leader Academy is my premium scalable program where I help women do exactly what we talked about. And most people can find me online at Spiritual CEO on Instagram. And I also have a Facebook group called Mission to Impact where I teach for free once a week to spiritual entrepreneurs and light leaders that are looking to grow their business. My main website is sarah-rose.net. And so that's where they can find a link to my podcast and stuff like that as well.
So tell me a little bit about your podcast, because we didn't touch on that. I know that you're a podcaster and I know that your audience is incredible and wonderful. Tell me a little bit about what you cover on your podcast and where can people find that?
So it's called The Calling Uncensored, and it is all about the spiritual awakening process, overcoming a lot of, it starts off with my own spiritual journeys, first episodes or so when I first launched it. And it's all about forgiveness and coming in, healing and coming out of those old conditioned patterns. And then there's obviously sprinklings in there of what happens when you actually get the call to really step more fully into your purpose and answer the call to be of divine service. So it's called The Calling Uncensored. And you're going to find a mix of spiritual awakening or transformational episodes mixed with soul purpose, business building episodes.
Oh my gosh. Well, I love what you're doing in this world and oh my gosh, let's collaborate even more. Anything that we can work on together. I 100% love you. I love the energy you're bringing to this world. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you for standing in your purpose. And thank you so much for truly understanding that everybody has a purpose that they get to live. One last takeaway before we say goodbye.
Well, if you're watching this and you're confused maybe on where to start, I would say, for me, it all comes down to faith and calling in your next step. I can't preface that enough. Whenever I start to feel a little stuck in my business, the first thing is to surrender in faith and ask for the next step, and it's always revealed. And then take action on that. And if you follow those breadcrumbs, you'll always be on track.
I love that. I love that. I love that. Well, thank you, beautiful soul. You are bringing so many gifts to the world. You are empowering entrepreneurs in their spiritual journey, and you are allowing them to step into their purpose and into abundance. You're a gift to this world, and I honor you. Thank you, thank you, thank you for being here, and thank you for today. You gave so much value to our viewers, and you're just such a beautiful soul. Keep changing lives.
Thank you, Noelle. Thank you so much for having me. And what you're doing is so important too. And I'm just really happy to be able to make this connection so we could have this powerful combo and chat.
Well, I'm sure it's going to go even further than just today. Well, I'm sure the universe has brought us together for a reason. Well, great to see you. And again, one last time, your website is
Sara-rose.net.
Okay, so Sara-rose.net. Guys, go follow her on Instagram, and she is a powerhouse. She will change your life. Thank you, Sara, for being here. You are amazing and a gift to this world.
Thank you, Noelle. Thank you so much for having me.
What a powerful, powerful show we had today, guys. Oh my gosh, it was so beautiful. We went deep into our purpose. We went into spirituality in business. We tapped into what it looks like in the divine feminine and the divine masculine. We tapped into understanding that you truly are more powerful than you will ever know. We tapped into everybody he is here on purpose, for purpose. Guys, this is a show that you should watch more than once. I am telling you, it is so beautiful and so incredible. There were so many nuggets throughout this show. Thank you so much for being on the live, and thank you for being on the replay. We here at Noelle Agape Global, we truly are here to get you to the highest version of yourself. And if you need anything at all, go follow Sara, because she has incredible things on her website. If you're looking for free activations, for free meditations, for anything that you need to get to health, wellness, and consciousness, to make the mind-body connection, go to noelleagape.com, and it will change your life. At noelleagape.global, we have practitioners that will change your life as well. And we have anywhere from yoga to the quantum world. And so our goal at Noelle Agape Global is to truly, truly have you tap into your highest level of yourself and highest level of consciousness. You are more powerful than you will ever know. Your gifts are inside. You tap into your gifts. Understand that you get to do this in this world. Humanity needs you more than ever. And if you don't understand how powerful you are, if you don't understand that your gifts are more important than they've ever been, then you truly are lost in society, right? So if you're ready to take a jump, if you're ready to take the leap, you have so many resources, guys. Go to YouTube, go to noelleagape.com, go to Sara's website. There's not any excuse anymore to find you. The greatest version of you is always there. The greatest version of you is waiting to come out. It's that small voice that says, hey, go this way. No. Listen, it's truly going to go this way. And the more that you listen, right, the lessons that present themselves with different circumstances and different people and different circumstances, they show up in your life. They're showing up to teach you. And so when you understand that you are always the teacher and you are always the student in every breath you get to learn, and you get to come bring your gifts through you out to humanity. It is a beautiful, beautiful ripple effect that you get to change the humanity. Guys, we get to change this world, and you get to change the world by changing you. I love you so much, and you are more powerful than you ever know. I trust you and I believe in you, and I know that that fire within you is ready to be ignited. Ignite that soul and get out there and change humanity. I love you guys, and we'll see you in the next video.